जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। Thank you so much once again, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu, for kindly hosting this 37th session on Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. This particular verse, the second verse which we are discussing today, is finally going to conclude. And I'm very happy we were able to cover this verse in great detail, because only in this verse was there a chance for myself to discuss the Nam Aparadhs in great detail. And that is why this particular verse took so much time. A similar chance we will not get ahead, and therefore in this particular verse I got the opportunity, and we discussed the 10 Namaparats in great detail once again, which we had already discussed in the series on Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamritam. Henceforth, verse 3, 4, 5, those verses may not be as lengthy as the discussion on this second verse, because a detailed discussion on some Namaparadhs, etc. may not come up in those verses. So we'll keep focused mainly on the main topic of those verses. But in this verse, I had the chance to take the direction of discussing the Namaparadhs. So I'm happy I could do that. Thank you, dear devotees, for kindly being with me in this journey. Now, let's continue and begin the 37th session of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. I am thankful to Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu and Param Karuna Prabhu for kindly being the host and co-host respectively. Before we begin, for one last time, the verse that was composed for this particular verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Ekātmani vyavasthāyam tridehe vākchatuṣṭaye panchatatve षडक्षेषु सप्तचक्रेषु मे तथा सदा विशतु गौरांग महाप्रभुमुखोद्गतम् रम्यं शिक्षाष्टकं येन धन्यः स्याम भूरि भूरिशः. The translation for this we have seen last time, so I'll not read it again. We'll go to the next verse. As usual, we have a verse glorifying Harinam, and this verse is from the Puranas collected in the Bhagavan Nam Mahatmya Sangraha, and this verse is as follows. Vrajam stishthan swapan bhunjan श्वसन वाक्य प्रपूरणे नाम संकीर्तनम विष्णोर हेलया कलिमर्दनम कृत्वा स्वरूपतां याति भक्ति युक्तः परम व्रजे. Vrajams, while walking. Tishthan, while sitting. Swapan, sleeping. Bhunjan, eating. Shwasan, while breathing. Or vakya prapurane, or while finishing a sentence. Nama Sankirtanam Vishnu, the Nam Sankirtan of Bhagavan Vishnu. Helaya, if it is performed by a devoted individual, even in a neglectful manner. Kalimardanam, ensures the crushing of Kali Yuga. Kritva Swarupatam Yati, such an individual attains their constitutional position. And Bhakti Yukta Param Vrajet, and such an individual achieves the highest destination. So wonderful verse from the Bhagavan Nam Mahatmya Sangraha. And this particular verse, all these collections of verses are denoting the supremacy of Bhagavan Nam Sankirtan in this particular age of Kali, so that devotees can take up the process of Sankirtan very seriously. And we have discussed it in great detail last time as to what is Swapriya Nam, and we begin with Swapriya Nam Kirtan, and gradually we will begin feeling great relishment in the kirtan of all of Bhagavan's names. We are on the second verse, and for one last time, let us sing the second verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Nam namakari bahudha nija sarva shaktis tatrarpitare amitah smaranena kalah etādṛśī tava kṛpā bhagavan mamāpi durdaivam īdṛśam ihājani nānurāgaḥ. This verse originally compiled in the Padyavali of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was then taken up in the Chaitanya Charitamritam by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Gambhira is reciting this verse to his two close associates, Shri Swarup Damodar and Shri Rai Ramananda. Here is the Anvay for these particular verses. Prabhu, can you kindly read out the Anvay?
O Bhagavan, in regards to your unlimited names, immense variety has been manifested by you. Moreover, all of your personal potencies have been eternally invested in these names, and no specific time has been fixed for remembering them. Such is your causeless mercy. Yet my misfortune is such that no genuine attachment was developed by me in these names.
Wonderful. And this is the translation. And last time I had also shown an alternate translation to this particular verse, where we combine the smarane and na in the second line to make it smaranena. And it gives another meaning that specific times have been fixed for remembering your names and pastimes. We saw that alternate meaning last time. Dear devotees, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur had specified that Nam Apradhas are the main misfortune of the jivas. But in the Bhajan Rahasya, he discusses other misfortunes which the living entities can have, which can prevent them from developing a taste in Harinam. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he quotes a verse which is as follows. Maya mukthasya jivasya gyeyo narthas chaturvidha praddaurbhalyam chaparadho satrishna tattva vibhramaha. Maya mugdhasya jivasya, for the conditioned soul deluded by Maya, gyeyo anarthas chaturvidha. There are 4 kinds of anarthas that cause misfortune. And then he lists the 4 of them. He only gives the name, but I am also giving a slight explanation for all 4. The first he says, Hrit Daurbalya. Hrit here means heart. Daurbalya is the feeling of weakness. So weakness of heart. And then he explains what is weakness of heart. That is falling prey to sense gratification or falling prey to crookedness, envy, etc. So Hrit Daurbalyam is quite common in amongst many individuals because often we are either not able to control our own desires for sense gratification. The reason being previous samskars are heavily weighing down upon us. So that is one reason why we are not able to control the desires for sense gratification. Our heart becomes weak and we give in. Then there is crookedness. The world sometimes has taught us that if you remain straightforward in your dealings, then you will not be able to progress in the world. And therefore, so the Nishanta Leela, which was in the previous verse, this Nishanta Leela referred to the pastimes at the end of the night, where Sri Radha and Krishna are awakened by the various birds who chirp in sweet and slightly slightly shrill voices so that Sri Radha and Krishna can wake up from their sleep and quickly rush back to their homes so that nobody comes to know that both of them had met secretly in the middle of the night. Now the second verse will correspond to Pratah Lila. Dear devotees, the second verse corresponds to the second yam, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his description of the eightfold pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, describes what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does in Pratah Lila. Let's go back for a moment and see the exact time of Pratah Lila. The exact time is 6 a.m. to 8:24 a.m. approximately, according to the modern clock. So let's keep this particular time in our mind. This is the time. What does Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do during this time? Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in Mahaprabhu Ashtakaliya Leela, he describes in the meter Shardula Vikriditam. Pratah swasariti swaparshad vrata snatva prasunadibhes tam sampujya grahita charu vasana srachandana lankrita kṛpā Vishnu samarchanadi sagano bhuktvannamachamya cha vitram chanyagrahe sukham swapitiyas tam gauramadhyemyaham. This is the fourth verse of Mahaprabhu Ashtakaliya Leela Smarana Mangal Stotram. Pratah swasariti swaparshadavrita snatva. Having taken an early morning bath in the heavenly Ganga. So early morning, we know around 6 o'clock, this is the time when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes a bath in the Ganga while being surrounded by his associates. And prasunadibis tam sampujya. And having worshipped her sacred waters with flowers, etc., what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do? Grihita charu vasanaha. He dons elegant clothes and srakchandana lankritaha, and he decorates himself with garlands and sandalwood paste. Then what does he do as a householder? Then kṛpā Vishnu samarchanadi sagano. Then having worshipped Bhagavan Vishnu and sagano along with his associates, bhuktvannam. He honors food, he honors prashad in the morning. And then what does he do? Achamyacha. And he sips achman water for purification. And then after doing that, Vitram Chanya Grihe Sukham Swapiti. And then happily take some rest in another room for 2 or 3 dandas. As I said, one danda is 24 minutes. So 2 or 3 dandas, approximately an hour, he takes rest in the morning. And Tam Gauram Adhyam Yaham. I meditate upon that Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Now, why does he take rest for some time in the morning? And Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, can you try to guess why does Mahaprabhu take rest at this point of time?
Because he's doing kirtan all night?
Yes, he was doing kirtan at night. So, and he doesn't want to skip the time for taking an early morning bath. So he takes that early morning bath. He doesn't want to skip the most important meal for the day. Dear devotees, the most important meal for the day is breakfast. Doesn't want to skip that most important meal for the day. He honors that most important meal. And then after that, he takes a little rest. This, dear devotees, is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does in Pratah Leela, in the early morning hours, 6 o'clock to 8:24, around 8:30, dear devotees, this is Pratah Leela. And now, this same Leela is also in the spiritual world in Goloka Vrindavan, and Sri Radha and Krishna, they carry out various pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan. Dear devotees, we had studied that in the Nishant Leela, that is before Pratah, we had studied this at the end of the first verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam, that the Sakhis woke up first, they saw the condition of Sri Radha and Krishna, and when they saw this condition of Sri Radha and Krishna, they are not dressed properly, they prepared various things for their seva, and after the Sakhis, the Manjaris, Vrinda Devi woke up, and she awakened the birds, and then she instructed the birds to start singing in sweet and sharp notes to awaken the couple, Shri Radha and Krishna. And dear devotees, this also corresponds with the time for our Mangal Arati. So just as birds sing in the early morning, similarly we sing in the early morning, but we sing when Shri Radha and Krishna are fully decorated. I mean, they have worn their clothes properly, they are decorated nicely, and then we sing in front of them Mangala Arati. But at this point of time, Sri Radha and Krishna have not yet are not yet awakened from their sleep. So Vrinda Devi is making efforts to make them awakened. Then there is immense fatigue in the couple due to the joyous activities of the night, and the couple refuses to wake up so easily. Then the manjaris, not the sakhis, the manjaris enter with various paraphernalia for seva, and after they enter, the sarikas are minors, they glorify Sri Radha, and the shukas, the parrots, glorify Sri Krishna so that they can wake up. Then after that, even after that, when they don't wake up, the rooster makes a sound repeatedly. Then Sri Radha wakes up, angrily curses the rooster, and after repeated sound, Sri Radha and Krishna both wake up. Many pastimes take place, and this is the time around which 4:30. This is the time around which the sadhakas who are in their sadhaka body, practitioner body, perform Mangalarti, and we get darshan of Sri Radha Krishna in their morning attire. Dear devotees, this is Nishanta Leela, the end of night. And after that, immediately you will see, after Mangalarti, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, do we keep the doors open or they close the doors? Please tell me what happens after Mangalarti.
They close the doors.
Yeah, they close the doors because Sri Radha and Krishna have to return home in great haste and take rest in their respective homes so that nobody comes to know where they were in the middle of the night. Now begins, dear devotees, Prataha Leela. And Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes Prataha in a very wonderful way in the Govinda Leela Amrita. Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Raktambara Satam Vandya Prataha Sandhya Tapasvini. Prataha Sandhya, the early morning Sandhya conjunction, appears exactly like an ascetic lady who wears deep reddish cloth and who is glorified by the saintly souls. So she appears exactly very reddish like a yogini in the morning sky. And dear devotees, this is how Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compares Prataha, early morning time, to a yogini or tapaswini, an ascetic lady. And this is a most auspicious time for all the sadhaka devotees to engage in their sadhan bhakti. At this particular point of time, dear devotees, Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives a summary of all the Prataha pastimes, of all the pastimes of early morning in a single verse. So we will see this summary and then we will also get into the details. Here is a summary of the early morning pastimes of Sri Radha Krishna. Radham snata vibhushitam vrajapaya Bhutam sakhibhi prage Tadgehe vihitanna pakarachanam Krishna vasheshasanam Krishnam buddham avaptadhenu sadanam Nirvyudha godoharam Susnatam kratapojanam sahacharais Tam chathatam chashraye. Radham ashray, I take shelter of Sri Radha. Snata vibhushitam, who after having taken a bath and decorating herself in early morning hours, Vrajapaya hutam, she goes along with her sakhis when Mother Yashoda calls for her, and who cooks varieties of foodstuffs at the home of Mother Yashoda. And Vihitanna Pakarachanam, after cooking varieties of foodstuffs, Krishnavasheshashanam, and who tastes the remnants of Shri Krishna after he has finished eating. Dear devotees, this is an important part of culture, Vedic culture. The important part of Vedic culture is that in the presence of elderly people, the uh, the men of the family take food first, and later the ladies take food. Dear devotees, when Radha and Krishna are meeting privately, this culture is not followed. It is Bhagavan Shri Krishna and Srimati Radharani often eat together. Shri Krishna feeds Shri Radha with his own hands in private. But when they are in the presence of elderly people, they always follow the rules of uh, civilized society, that the uh, the male members of the family, they have their food first, and it is then that Sri Radha and her Sakhis take their own food. And then I also take shelter of Shri Krishna, who is Buddham Avapta Dhenu Sadhanam, who wakes up in the early morning, goes near the cows, and Nirvyudha Godohanam, who carries out their milking process, Susnatam, then takes a thorough bath, and Krita Bhojanam Sahacharais, religious food with his friends and associates. So this is a summary verse which describes the pastimes of the Pratah Lila, that is the early morning Lila that takes place in Goloka, Vrindavan. The Acharyas begin describing in great detail. In the very beginning of Pratah Lila, in the morning Lila, Sri Radha has come back to her home and she is resting in her home. The devotees, when she is resting in her home, the other manjaris get time to take bath and get ready for morning seva. We may be remembering that the manjaris were taking sound rest in the night, and when they were taking sound rest in the night, Sri Radha and Krishna were having their joyous pastimes. The manjaris were taking sound rest. So the manjaris are well rested. Their devotees then, Sri Rupa Manjari, etc., they take bath at this point of time in the morning when Sri Radha is resting in her home. Sri Radha has come back to her home. She is resting in her home. The other manjaris such as Sri Rupa Manjari, etc., they take their baths and they get ready for morning seva. We see here Sri Rupa Manjari's painting, and a wonderful verse describing Sri Rupa Manjari is as follows. Tavidyududyuti jai prapadai karekha Vaidagdhya eva kila murti bhritasathape Yutheshwari tvamabhizamya garochayitva Dasyamritabhimanusasnurajasramasya. So this particular verse from the Krishna Bhavanamrita Mahakavyam, it specifies Ta Vidyut Udyuti Jai Prapadai Karekha. In the front portion of Sri Rupa Manjari's feet, there is a mark of a line, and this mark of a line defeats the luster of the lightning bolt. In fact, Vaidagdhya eva kila murti bhritas. Sri Rupa Manjari is indeed the personified deity of all expertise. Yuthayeshwari tvamapi. Sri Rupa Manjari is completely capable of becoming a gopi and taking up the role of a Yutheshwari gopi leader. But her mood is not to become an independent gopi. She doesn't take any delight, arochayitva, doesn't take any delight in such a post. Instead, Dasyam Ritabdhi Manusasnur, she bathes constantly in the nectar ocean of Dasya Ras of Sri Radha. Very few people in this world are able to understand why Sri Rupa Manjari or Sri Rupa Goswami, why they had the mood of Radha Dasyam, servitude of Sri Radha, because Radha Dasyam is Dasya Ras in relation to Sri Radha, whereas most people aim for Madhurya of Sri Krishna. Sri Rupa Manjari's aim is Dasya for Sri Radha. And very few people are able to understand the secrets behind this particular attitude of Shri Rupa Manjari. In the Krishna Bhavanamrita Mahakavyam, it is specified that she is completely capable of taking up the role of a Yutheshwari, Gopi leader. But she doesn't do that. Instead, she has dedicated herself to servitude of Sri Radha. Now, Sri Rupa Manjari, she takes a bath, she gets ready while Sri Radha is resting in her home. And Sri Radha has a palace in the northern side of her mother-in-law Jatila's home. So Sri Radha has a palace in the northern side of that particular home. And this particular palace was made for Sri Radha by her father Maharaj Vrishabhanu. This palace contains various rooms, a wonderful roof, various facilities for bathing, various facilities for playing around with the Sakhis. So in this way, a wonderful palace for Sri Radha exists in the northern direction of the palace of Jatila. And in this palace, in early morning hours, Sri Rupa Manjari and all the other various Manjaris, they arrive early and they start rendering various sevas. You can see one particular Manjari renders the seva of preparing various ornaments, another Manjari rendering the seva of preparing various garlands, another Manjari rendering the seva of preparing sandalwood paste, another Manjari preparing betel nut leaves. So in this way, all of them start engaging in various seva. Sri Radha is still asleep. It's morning time and the entire environment is buzzing with many activities. The Brahmanas start chanting Veda mantras in the early morning hours, and the sound of Veda mantras fills the entire atmosphere. Gananam tvam ganapatim havamahe kavim kavinam upamashravastamam ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पता आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः When this entire atmosphere of Brajamandal is buzzing with the chanting of Veda mantras of the Brahmanas, at this particular point of time, it is described that Mukhara is Nani, maternal grandmother of Sri Radha. She arrives and she calls out to Sri Radha. She Mukhara, she is very dear to Sri Radha and she behaves in a very gentle manner with Sri Radha, unlike Jatila, who behaves in a slightly harsh manner. But Mukhara is the maternal grandmother of Sri Radha. She calls out to her. She meets Jatila, the mother-in-law, and along with Jatila, she calls and implores Sri Radha to get up and take a bath and get ready for Surya Puja, worship of the sun. When Vishakha Sakhi hears this, she wakes up and then she asks Sri Radha to wake up. Initially, Sri Radha refuses to wake up. Sri Radha goes back to sleep. Mukhara enters into the room and sees Sri Radha lying down on her bed. She is fast asleep because she has not taken sufficient rest in the night. At this particular point of time, Mukhara says something, and here is the verse in the meter Malini. Trutakanakasavarnam Sayametan murarer Vasanamurasi drashtam Yatsakhita bibharti Kimidama ivishakhe Apramada pramado vyavasitamidamāsya pasya shuddhanvayaya. Suddenly, Mukhara notices something. I saw this golden cloth on the chest of Krishna. And now your Sakhi Radha is donning the same cloth. What is this, Vishaka? What madness is going on? Alas, Ai Vishakhe, ha, pramadah pramado. Pashya Shuddhan Vayaya. Although she is born in such a pure family lineage, her behavior is in such contradiction to that very lineage. Why is she wearing that golden cloth which I saw on the chest of Krishna yesterday? Tell me, Vishaka, what is wrong? When Vishaka Sakhi hears this, she becomes extremely startled. She becomes very frightened, and suddenly she tells Mukhara, no, it is not golden cloth. It is her blue cloth, and Mukhara, your eyes are not functioning properly. The palace is golden, and the sunlight is striking off the golden palace, and therefore you are seeing her blue cloth as golden. So please get your eyes checked, because I see blue. So Vishakha, her Sakhi, clearly defends Shri Radha at this particular point of time. Then after this, the various Sakhis assemble and awaken Shri Radha. When the Sakhis assemble and awaken Shri Radha at this particular point of time, then Shri Radha begins speaking to the various Sakhis. And Shri Radha laments about the previous night. She says, alas, I don't know what happened last night. I don't know, how I managed to reach the place where Shri Krishna was present. I don't even remember any of the activities that took place. Alas, this morning, it came so soon, and I could not even realize when the entire night had passed. In this way, she laments on the short time which she spent with Shri Krishna during the night. Although in the table we saw that the midnight pastimes are 12 dandas, have the greatest amount of duration, but still Sri Radha perceives it as a very small duration of time. And Sri Radha laments, alas, I wish I could get more time with him, but I could not get. And suddenly my enemy is Pratahakal. My enemy is this early morning which arrived. Then she also curses the sun. Says the sun curses upon him. He reduces the night time, and especially he reduces the night time in particular seasons to such an extent that I am not able to properly associate with my beloved Shri Krishna. After saying this, dear devotees, suddenly one of the Sakhis tells her that, well, you should know that there is something happening on Shri Krishna's side. And immediately Paurnamasi Devi rushes to see what is happening in Shri Krishna's palace in Nanda Bhavan, and it is described by the Acharyas as follows. Rajani vipariname gargarenam gareya tadhimathan vinodadudbhavanneshanada amaranagar kaksha chakramakramya sadhya स्मरयति सुरवृन्दान्यब्धिमन्थोत्सवस्य. This is a verse from the Lalita Madhava Natakam. Rajani vipariname, at the end of the night and the beginning of the day. Gargarenam gareya tatimathana vinodad urdbhavane shanadaha. The grr sounds of the churning of yogurt is arising and spreading around. So Paurnamasi Devi hears this particular sound. Although this sound is mixed with the sounds of the Brahmanas chanting the Vedas, but Paurnamasi Devi sees from a point of view where she is hearing this sound very prominently. And the churning of the yogurt is in the pots is giving out the sound grr grr gar garinam gariyan. Sri Rupa Goswami is giving the sound, and this sound is spreading around. Amara Nagara Kaksha Chakramakramya. This sound reaches the planets of the Amaras, of the Devatas. And the Devatas also hear this sound. And Smarayati Sura Vrindani, and immediately reminds them Abdhimanthotsavasya, of their memories of churning the milk ocean. They remember how when they were churning the milk ocean, at that point of time they had employed the Mandar mountain. And when the Mandar mountain was also churning, this sound of grr grr was coming out. And they remember their previous pastimes in this manner. So in this way, dear devotees, the early morning pastimes are taking place in Nanda Bhavan on the side of Shri Krishna. And Purnamasi Devi sees this entire atmosphere as being similar to Shvetadvip. Shvetadvip is the planet of Bhagavan Vishnu. She sees many similarities between this scene and Shvetadvip. She sees that just as in Shvetadvip there are various individuals who love Bhagavan, similarly here there are various people who love Bhagavan. Shvetadvip is studded with jewels. Similarly, this village is studded with jewels. Shvetadvip has milk everywhere. Similarly, this village has milk everywhere. And Shvetadvip is where Hari is taking rest. And this village is also a place where Shri Krishna is currently taking rest. Dear devotees, Shri Krishna is currently sleeping. Purnamasi asks about Shri Krishna. Mother Yashoda says he's sleeping inside. So Mother Yashoda goes inside along with Purnamasi to wake him up. Suddenly, Yashoda sees Krishna wearing blue cloth. Oh my goodness. Sri Radha was wearing yellowish cloth. Sri Krishna is wearing blue cloth. Both of them, while returning in the dark of the forest, forgot to give each other back their clothes, and they accidentally wore the clothes of each other. Mother Yashoda suddenly says, "What is happening here? Why is Krishna wearing blue colored cloth?" And Purnamasi Devi gives justification to Mother Yashoda that he's wearing this blue colored cloth because maybe he exchanged clothes with Balaram, and therefore he is having this blue colored cloth. Dear devotees, Mother Yashoda then wakes him up by speaking sweet words. And after Shri Krishna wakes up, all the sakhas come and gather around Shri Krishna. Now Shri Krishna also is remembering the previous night. And Shri Krishna also is not very happy with the fact that morning has come so soon. Then all the sakhas, their various names are mentioned. Gobhata, Bhadrasen, Subala, Stoka Krishna, Arjun Sakha. They try to bring Krishna out of his slumber. Krishna is still feeling the need of taking rest, but they all want to wake Krishna up so that they can take Krishna to early morning cow milking. And early morning is the best time for milking of the cows. And therefore all of them want to take Shri Krishna along with them and have many various pastimes in the forest in the daytime. So Krishna wakes up and sits on a jeweled platform, and gradually all the servants come around and they begin their service. Dear devotees, the servants present a toothbrush to Krishna made from the soft wood of a kalpavriksha. The servants also present a tongue cleaner to Krishna, which is made out of various jewels, and both of these are described by the previous acharyas. The previous acharyas describe Kalpadrumasya mraduna vetapena tena Ratnanguliyakamaho viralankritena Dantavalim vihitavekshakanetra harsham आलोलकुण्डलयुगं शनकैर्जघर्ष. Shri Krishna's early morning brushing. Kalpadrumasya mriduna vitapena tena. With his hands decorated with gem-studded rings, Krishna took the soft brushing twig made out of a kalpavriksha tree. Thus, Dantavalim vihita vikshaka netraharsham alola kundala yugam shanakair jagharsha. He slowly started brushing his teeth, jagharsha. His earrings dangled due to the motion, and this gave a lot of pleasure to those who witnessed it. This is Shri Kavi Karnapur describing the entire scene in Krishna Hanik Kaumudi. The devotees, after Shri Krishna had brushed his teeth, then Shri Krishna also cleansed his tongue. Shri Kavi Karnapur describes. Angushtatarjanikayor vitastya jihva vilekhnikaya manihemamaya rajanmanindra-valayam vyalekhanmanogyam tambula-raga-para-bhagavatim rasagyam. Then Vitastya, holding a 9-inch long jewel-studded golden tongue cleaner using his thumb and index finger, he increased the beauty of his hands. And then he cleansed his tongue and drove away the redness of the betel leaf that he had consumed on the previous night. Dear devotees, in this way, Bhagavan Shri Krishna performs the first 2 tasks of the day. Then he washes his face, wipes it. Then the servants present combs and other paraphernalia. One particular servant begins tying a turban around Shri Krishna's head. And after they tie a turban, Shri Krishna is ready to go to the cow milking pastime. And the Sakhas invite Shri Krishna for cow milking. And during this time, dear devotee, Shri Radha has also woken up. The Acharyas describe in great detail the pastimes of her getting ready, taking a bath, etc., which we will not discuss here because that is a very elaborate pastime. At this particular point of time, there is a Sakhi named Kundalata who arrives, and Shri Radha understands that she has come to ask her to come to Mother Yashoda's home. Kundalata informs her that Mother Yashoda desires that she should come and cook. And when Kundalata says this, Shri Radha says, I can come, but you need to convince my mother-in-law Jatila. And Shri Radha tells her to request Jatila, her mother-in-law. Kundalata convinces Jatila, and then Kundalata says the following to Shri Radha. Yadavadhi kalayam babhuva satvam Munivara datta varam varam bhujakshi Tatavadi tava pani samskritanna shana viratim kvachanahni nasya chakre. Yadavadhi kalayam babhuva satvam. O lotus-eyed Sri Radha, since the day Yashoda has heard that Durvasa Muni has given you the benediction of cooking excellent foodstuffs, since that day Mother Yashoda has developed the great desire to feed her son the food items cooked by you. Then, dear devotees, this refers to the pastime given in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, where Durvasa Muni is not the same Durvasa who had cursed Maharaj Ambarish. He is a separate Durvasa. So Durvasa Muni, he gave a benediction to the gopis because they fed him many nice foodstuffs. So he gave a benediction to the gopis and Sri Radha that whatever you cook will be very nectarian in flavor. So they had gotten this benediction from Durvasa Muni. And therefore, when Sri Yashoda has heard that you have gotten a benediction for Durvasa Muni, that you will cook very nicely, she has developed this desire that you cook for her son. And then Kundalata happily convinces Jatila, and Shri Radha happily goes to Shri Yashoda's home, where she cooks many varieties of foodstuffs. and so many varieties of foodstuffs, all varieties of foodstuffs. Bhakshya, Bhojya, Choshya, Lehya, foods that are eaten, bitten, sucked, licked, chewed. All sorts of foodstuffs are described in great detail by the acharyas, and I cannot get into a detailed discussion of that because these foodstuffs are something which a devotee should realize through the via medium of samadhi. It is good to know about them theoretically, but much better is to be able to taste those foodstuffs cooked by Sri Radha in samadhi, just as Sri Rupa Goswami tasted the kheer, the sweet rice cooked by the residents of Goloka Vrindavan. And Sri Rupa Goswami, it is said that Sri Rupa Goswami could not control his eating, and in his sadhaka deha, in his sadhaka body, he experienced indigestion. Although from an external point of view, Sri Rupa Goswami never ate much, but still he got indigestion because in his samadhi he was able to experience the cooking of Sri Radha and the various gopis. In this way, dear devotees, the cooking happens very joyously, and there are many pastimes which happen in Pratah, in early morning Leela. Dear devotees, this is the sum and substance of Pratah Leela that takes place, and this is what Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahasaya has said. The second verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam is very important because in this particular verse, which refers to the Pratah Leela, and dear devotees, it is in Pratah Kal, it is in this morning time that we cook for Bhagavan. And when we cook for Bhagavan in this morning time, it is at this particular time that we can meditate on these pastimes of Sri Radha cooking for Sri Krishna. And while we are meditating, we can fulfill the purpose of our spiritual life by perfecting our smaran. In this way, this is the indication given by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahasaya in his Bhajan Rahasya upon this particular verse. Dear devotees, the second verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam has concluded with a discussion on the Bhajan Rahasya. It is a practice to also have a concluding verse for every verse of the Śikṣāṣṭakam. So even for this particular verse of the Śikṣāṣṭakam, I have made a concluding verse, a freshly made concluding verse. And this concluding verse, concluding prayer is as follows. Namani te vividha shakti yutani shashvat sadesha kala niyama smaranena chaisham durdaiva kūpapatitosmi tathapi mayyam dehi prabho tava kripākta karāvalambam. Namani te vividha shakti yutani shashvat. So Bhagavan, your names are eternally equipped with various potencies. Sadesha kala niyama smaranena chaisham. And there are no rules regarding a proper place, time, in regards to their remembrance. Still, durdaiva kūpapatitosmi, I am fallen in the well of deep misfortune. Mahyam dehi prabho, Bhagavan, please bestow unto me tava kṛpā akta karāvalambam, the support of your most merciful hand. Please extend your hand and rescue me from this well of deep misfortune. This verse, dear devotees, is a freshly composed concluding verse for this verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. And just as the verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam has two meanings, similarly, this verse also has an alternate meaning. We combine the smarane and na also in this verse. Namani te vividha shakti yutani shashvat Sattesha kala niyama smaranena chaisham durdaiva kupapadido smitadhapi mayam dehi prabhu tava kripat karavalambam. In the alternate meaning, your names are eternally equipped with various potencies, and there are specific rules for remembering them according to proper place and time. Still, I am fallen in the well of deep misfortune, O Lord. Please bestow unto me the support of your most merciful hand, Karavalambam, and kindly rescue me. With this, dear devotees, we have successfully completed our discussion on the second verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Thank you very much. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvam saha purayantu tat. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit tad kuro reva me nahi. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit. If there is anything which was mistaken here, vidvam saha. You are all intelligent people. Purayantu tat. Please correct any mistakes. And yadatra saushthavam kinchit. If there's anything nice, dear devotees, please remember tad guru reva. It belongs to my Gurujanas. Me nahi. It doesn't belong to me. Thank you very much, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu. Thank you, Param Karuna Prabhu. Thank you, all the wonderful devotees, for kindly being along with me in this wonderful journey to discover Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. What a beautiful class. Oh my gosh. You know, one of the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava is kavya, or poeticism, and I think that you've really mastered this visually, and also the wonderful gifts that have been given to you and your skills at wielding Sanskrit in the service of Shri Krishna. It's really exceptional. So I know it's a lot of praise, but we appreciate these classes so much. We're really grateful for everything that you put into them, the incredible thoughtfulness and detail and authority. It's really exceptional. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to have a brief announcement from Parama Karuna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. And am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we have completed the second verse. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu has already said very eloquently how much we appreciate and relish these classes by Hari Parshad Prabhuji. I have some little glimpse on how much preparation it goes into these, and I can say that it's mind-boggling. Composing these new verses takes hours and hours and sometimes weeks of time. And Prabhuji is putting in so much effort in sharing this knowledge with us, taken from so many shastras, and then on the Q&A group, patiently asking so many questions. So since the second verse has concluded, I wanted to make a proposal for announcing for supporting the work that Prabhuji is doing by way of dakshina to Prabhuji. I'll share my screen. Yeah. I hope the screen sharing is visible. Yeah. So the Siksastakam series is progressing very nicely. We have 37 classes, out of which majority are on the second verse itself. And if anybody would like to offer dakshina, this is the announcement for that. But before that, this series is primarily meant to facilitate learning the Siksastakam text and all the adjacent Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures in a very deep, systematic manner through the commentaries of the various acharyas. As Prabhuji announces every week, it's not affiliated. This series is not affiliated to any institution, any particular group, etc. We don't provide any certificates or anything. It's just for pure enhancement of our Shastrik learning. It's completely free. Prabhuji posts the videos on YouTube. So everything is completely free from beginning to end, all the question answers, everything. So this is something I should have edited. 500 plus questions. This is probably now 1,000 plus questions, plus all the questions that were done in Upadeshamritam, etc. So this is a sacrifice or a yajna that Prabhuji is doing, and we are doing it too by Shravanam, by hearing, and by paying our attention. But important component of any yajna is to complete it by dakshina, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So those devotees who would like to offer dakshina can do so. You can send me a message. So I will be posting a poll like previous. I have done previously. You can just indicate in the poll that you would like to offer dakshina, and I will contact you, or you can contact me directly. I have provided my WhatsApp number here. Or if you would prefer email, then, and you cannot respond to the poll will be sent on the group. You can send me a text message here, or you can send an email here. I monitor this email address. So you can send it here, and you should mention your WhatsApp number and country code, and then I will contact you back. Now, here is my email address, and I gave my WhatsApp number here as well. These days, a lot of fraud is going on WhatsApp. So the only sure way of making sure that you're not being scammed is to check the phone number, not the picture, not the message, the sweetness of the message. Fraudsters can probably craft sweeter messages than I can. So the phone number, this is something they haven't been able to hack yet. Maybe someday they will do that as well. But as of now, please make sure it's coming from this phone number. Okay, then you'll know that it's me, or this email address. And I will be the only one to contact you, just to be very clear about the security of the transactions. Even Hari Parshad Prabhu or Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu will not contact you, just to keep it a single point of contact so that there is no confusion. So if you would like to offer any dakshina, please let me know. If anybody else contacts you other than me, please note that it is a fraud and do not respond, and just block that number for your own safety. We will not be responsible for any fraudulent transactions occurring if you have not followed these precautions. And finally, if you are unable to give, no problem at all. That is totally fine. There's no hard feelings or anything. Please continue to attend the series of talks. As I have learned from my teachers, the best gift that a student can give to the teacher is their time and attention, which you are all already giving. So that is perfect. And if you can give the dakshina, that is wonderful as well. So once again, if you would like to get added to the WhatsApp or want to give dakshina and you are not viewing the online Zoom, but a recording, you can send an email to this email address, or you can also contact me on WhatsApp on this number. Either of those two are perfectly fine. And that's it. So that's the announcement. I'll be putting a poll, and you can indicate in the poll if you would like to donate dakshina, and then we'll take it. I will contact you, those who have responded. If you have not responded to the poll, I will not bother you at all. All right. Thank you very much for your kind attention and for your desire to support Prabhuji with in some small financial way. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Parama Karuna Prabhu. So in Uttamamamsa, one of the ways you can tell something is important is if it's repeated. And so I'm just going to repeat 2 points from Parama Karuna Prabhu that are very important. One is there's no obligation here. The entire series is free. This is just an option. If you would like to donate, you can. There's no expectation whatsoever. Second of all, only Parama Karuna Prabhu will correspond with you about donations. He's not going to reach out to you. We're just going to put a poll in the WhatsApp, and if you say, yes, I would like to make a donation, then he'll be in contact with you. But make sure that it is the exact number shown on the screen here. You can write it down. We'll also send this out so you can verify. Sometimes on WhatsApp, people will take a picture of someone's profile image and then they'll make that their own, and then they'll message you. They'll put the same name, same picture, but it will be a different phone number. And so if someone contacts you and they have a different phone number from this one, they're imitating in order to steal money. And if you don't want your money to go to scammers, then please be very careful about this. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yes. Anything else to add, Hari Parsha Prabhu?
No, it's I'm happy you repeated that it's a voluntary thing, and the series is free to attend, and those who voluntarily feel like they should contribute something, they can do so happily. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is a great way to reciprocate. You know, it's said that when we're learning from a teacher, that we should render service, inquire confidentially, and surrender to them or follow their instructions faithfully. And so this is one great way to reciprocate. For me, hosting is the way I reciprocate as a kind of service, but then also we can reciprocate through donations. So thank you everyone for your attention. And we're going to go now to Q&A. We have a few guidelines and requests that we repeat every class, and that's just because they're important to keep us focused and make sure that all the questions are appropriate for this particular forum. And so the first one is that we ask that you only ask, we request that you only ask questions related to today's class and the topics which were covered in the class itself. Second, please keep your questions short. In general, we would like if you just ask one question. If you have a clarifying question after that, which is basically a question that ensures you understood the answer you already got, that is appropriate. But we don't want to get into second, third, fourth questions that are bringing up additional topics, additional details, additional realms of investigation. You can always get back in line and ask another question later, and that's just so everyone gets a chance to ask a good question. There's a lot of people who would love to interview Prabhuji. I know I'm in that group, so I don't blame anyone. But unfortunately, we don't have time to ask Prabhuji extended questions in a row. So please keep it short. This group is not affiliated with any institution or person, and so we just want to keep things philosophical and not bring up particular people or institutions in our questions. And lastly, please keep it informal. So before we begin, if you'd like to join our WhatsApp group thread so you can join our live questions or ask questions over WhatsApp, just send an email to this email address you see on the screen and include your your WhatsApp number and country code, and we will add you. And so, anything else before we call on our first questions? Hi, Prabhu.
No, this is good enough, Prabhuji. Let's begin.
Thank you so much, everyone. Our first question is from Abhimanyu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji.
My pranam.
Somehow we're not able to hear you all of a sudden. I can see your mouth moving, but I
don't
can't
have
hear.
it. Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible now.
I was saying, although I don't have any adhikar to read those literatures, but still you're mercifully bringing them so that we can get a conception and get that lobe to progress. So very wonderful of you. My question was, Prabhuji, the interpretation that you gave by combining two shabdas, marane and na, making it smarane na. So there you mentioned, if we translate it like this, then there will be a conception of time and desh. So can you shed some light on that desh part?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Well, you said that, about adhikar, you said, I don't think that there is any Vaishnava who will openly proclaim that they have the adhikar to understand all these things. Even those who have the adhikar will say that they don't have the adhikar. And at the same time, the previous acharyas have said that after we discuss tattva, there should be a little inclination to also discuss what is rasa. So for this particular second verse, although we discuss so much tattva and all the 10 namaparats, the conclusion is with rasa for this particular reason, that the end of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is in bhakti rasa, and that is why the exploration of rasa. And when your query about smarane and na being combined, and when smarane and na are combined, then the condition is that there is a proper place for remembrance. And the proper place is also mentioned by Shri Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamritam. Tishthan vraje tadanuraghi jananugami kalam nayed. That you reside in Shri Vrindavan and remember the pastimes of Goloka Vrindavan. So that is the ideal place to perform your bhajan and smaran. So I hope that answers your query.
Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
Next we have Kamala Mataji and Kamniya Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Babuji, my humble obeisance at your lotus feet and then pranam to Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, Param Karuna Prabhu and all the Vaishnavas. Thank you so much, Babuji, for such a wonderful and nectaring class, and I believe you are giving us little nectar from the treasure of scriptures which are written by our acharyas in the history, from the historical point of view. So, Prabhuji, my curiosity was about you mentioned that this Astakalya Leela, right? It is somehow, matched with this Siksastakam verses. So, is it like a one-to-one match? Are we talking about like Nishant Leela is first verse, the second verse is Prata Leela, something like that, or I misunderstood something?
Yeah, there is a corresponding match. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that the Nishant Leela corresponds to the first verse of Siksastakam, or vice versa. First verse corresponds to Nishant Leela, second verse corresponds to Pratah Leela, third verse corresponds to Purvahana Leela, fourth verse corresponds to Madhyahana Leela, so on and so forth. Like this, there is one-to-one correspondence between the 8 verses and Ashtayam, 8 times of the day.
Sorry, Prabhuji, can I ask one follow-up on the same?
Sure,
Or,
sure.
okay. So so we have a Mahāprabhu's Leela also, right? So is it that one also similar to that, corresponding to the Siksastakam, or only Krishna Astakalya Leela?
No, both are corresponding. Mahaprabhu's Ashtakalya and Krishna's Ashtakalya have been said to correspond with the 8 verses of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Both of them, and the Pratah Leela of Mahaprabhu, Pratah Leela of Radha Krishna correspond to the 2nd verse. The Purvahana Leela of Mahaprabhu and Purvahana Leela of Radha Krishna correspond to the 3rd verse, and so on and so forth. So at the end of every verse, I will be getting into a discussion of those particular leelas.
Okay, you read my mind actually. I was about to ask if there is scripture which we can read to compare side by side, that
Bhajan,
way we
Bhajan.
can.
Back to you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. There's a question here. At the first part of today's class, you said one should have a proper attitude while approaching a sadhu for spiritual advancement. Where can I read in detail about how to approach a sadhu for my spiritual development?
Well, where can we read about how to approach a sadhu? Well, more than reading about how to approach a sadhu, is the attitude comes through previous association in previous lifetimes. The sincerity, the intensity, the greed of knowing about Bhagavan, that cannot usually be easily gained simply by reading a book. We can read about the biographies of previous devotees and how they approached their own guru. And many of these biographies of previous great devotees, such as Shri Narottam Das Thakur or Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, how they approached Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they give us an insight into the proper attitude. But to actually develop that attitude, that requires a certain bit of previous sukriti. It requires some previous engagement in bhakti yoga, which will give that required push. And because the required push comes from previous execution of bhakti yoga. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna has confirmed that it is previous practice which leads to advancement in the current life. Purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate yavashopi saha. So this is in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. By virtue of divine consciousness of previous life, he automatically becomes inclined to principles of yoga, and it is that consciousness from previous life that impels one to properly approach a sadhu. So that is the main factor, but we can also read the biographies of previous devotees in order to get an idea. But we will not be able to fake it. We should genuinely have that attitude within us. That is the answer to the query.
We have another question here. You described the pastimes of Sri Krishna brushing his teeth, scraping his tongue, washing his face, and so on. Suppose one is aspiring for Sri Radha Dasyam. In that case, one would not typically be present at the time when Sri Krishna brushes his teeth, scrapes his tongue, washes his face, and so on, because at that time, typically a Dasi of Sri Radha will be with Sri Radha, and Sri Krishna will be surrounded by his Dasas only. Does it make sense of such a sadhaka to do smaranam of the pastimes where he envisions himself to be present in Krishna Leela, or can it be beneficial for him to do smaranam of pastimes where he does not see himself present or in any seva?
Well, actually speaking, the pastimes of Krishna brushing his teeth and cleaning his tongue, all these pastimes are being described to Sri Radha by a Sakhi. So actually she is getting a report of how Sri Krishna spent his day after Sri Krishna woke up. But I did not describe that particular part because I didn't want to get into those levels of detail. So I just described it as if Purnamasi Devi is directly perceiving it. But actually, at the end, Sri Radha gets the entire report of how Sri Krishna spent his morning, and that is when Sri Radha comes to know about it. So that is the answer to the question.
Thank you. Next we have Nilachala Chandrikamani.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much, Dhāmeśvara Prabhu. And Hari Parshad Prabhu, I just want to thank you so much. I have no words, but this was a very, very special class. Very, very special. Thank you for adding quality to our devotional service. Thank you so much. I just wanted to, say so much, but Dhāmeśvara Prabhu and everybody is described. I think it's much, much more. It's much more that we can really appreciate you, and thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you at your lotus feet.
Thank you so much. That's very generous of you, and we appreciate it very much. It's so wonderful to have you here. Thank you. Our next question is from, I hope I say this right, Alap Prabhu. Did I say that right, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Your turn.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Hari Prasad Prabhuji from Germany. I first tasted your Shikarni in Germany, Goluka Dham. And ever since I've fallen in love with your Shikarni. So thank you so much. So thank you so much, Dharmeshwar Mahaprabhu, for your seva, wonderfully administering the class. Param Karuna Prabhu taking initiative to support Hari Prasad Prabhuji's wonderful initiative program. Thank you so much, all Vaishnavas. Prabhuji, you mentioned about Rupa Manjari Devi Dasidas Mataji. She served Radha in Dasya Ras. And I wanted to know, can you please elaborate more about this Dasya Ras? Because in ISKCON, in the devotees, we always aim for highest intention, that is Madhurya Ras. So can a general
Babaji,
devotee
we don't ask
can
any
also... questions
related to a institution or person. So we just keep it philosophical, okay?
Okay. So is the Dasya Ras, Prabhuji, highest ras in Madhurya Das compared to Madhurya Das? Or can a devotee actually follow Dasya Ras more than Madhurya? Yeah.
Right. So this question has been asked previously, but I will give an answer to this. In the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Sri Rupa Goswami describes what is known as Bhavollasrati, and I will point that out very quickly about Bhavollasrati, because Sri Rupa Goswami says clearly that there are certain individuals who are attracted to Shri Krishna in Madhurya Ras, but their attraction to Shri Radha also is there in Dasya Ras. And when the attraction to Shri Radha in Dasya Ras becomes more than the attraction to Shri Krishna in Madhurya Ras, that is called as Bhavollasrati. And I will point out that verse. This is from the southern division of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. This is the fifth wave, verse number 128. I am sharing my screen in Dakshin Vibhag. It says, Sanchari syat samona va Krishna ratya suhridrati adhika pushyamana ched bhavollasa itiryate. Sama unava. Samona breaks down as sama una. So at sanchari syat sama is equal, una is lesser. So if Krishna ratya suhridrati, if attraction to Krishna and attraction to any other associate of Krishna, so if attraction to any other associate of Krishna is less than or equal to attraction of Krishna, then it becomes known as sanchari bhav, transitory emotion. But if attachment to a particular associate of Krishna, adhika, becomes greater, pushyamana, more and more nourished, chet, if that is the case, then it is called bhavollas. So bhavollas is the special name given by Sri Rupa Goswami to individuals who have dasya of Shri Radha in greater magnitude than madhurya towards Shri Krishna. Srila Jiva Goswami says in the commentary, Evam madhurakhya rasetu, this happens only in Madhurya Ras. Sa yadi kvachit Krishna vishaya apiratya adhika तत्रापि पुष्यमाणा सन्ततभिनिवेशेन संवर्धमाना स्यात् तदा संचारित्वेऽपि विशिष्ट्यपेक्षा भावोल्लासाख्यो भावयितिर्यते. So only in Madhurya Ras, if Madhurya towards Krishna is there, but Dasya towards Sri Radha becomes greater than Madhurya towards Krishna, it gets its own special name called as Bhavollas. And that is described by Sri Rupa Goswami, and that is the mood of the Manjaris. Their mood is to have greater servitude of Sri Radha in comparison to Madhurya of Sri Krishna. It's not that they have zero Madhurya towards Sri Krishna, but their Madhurya towards Sri Krishna is far surpassed by their Dasya of Sri Radha, and that mood can only be realized by associating with someone who is already living that mood. So that is a short and sweet answer to your particular query. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question is from Kamala Mataji and Kamya Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Prabhuji, and all the devotees here, especially Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu and Param Prabhu. Thank you so much for taking time and effort for answering so many great questions. And so, Prabhu, I just have a follow-up for what Prabhu was asking. Like, what are the scriptures, if you can pinpoint, like for the Ashtayam Leela for Krishna and as well as Mahaprabhu, so that we can at least think like maybe someday we can read them.
Yeah, well, I cannot. If I give a list right now, then people will hear and people will try to buy them and try to read them without. I just gave a small glimpse because Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur mentions it in the Bhajan Rahasya, and I wanted to touch upon that aspect. But privately, we can ask our Gurujanas, and maybe privately they can tell us those books and literature, because it requires a certain amount of adhikar to enter into those books and to understand those books. And the chances of understanding these books incorrectly is also present. So, and those books are also now available easily in the marketplace. So it's not that, people can get those books easily and people can read them, but after reading them, there are many who will not be able to understand anything because the basic siddhantas, the basic foundations are not there. And also besides that, these books are manuals of Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti has its basic requirement as Lobha. And Lobha is something which Bhagavan only will, Bhagavan or Bhagavan's devotee can give unto us. So I could have given a list of books, and I have no hesitation in specifying the name. Usually I would not have hesitation, but I don't want individuals who are not yet ready for these books to just go and buy them and then try reading them on their own, because it has the potential to put them into some misconceptions. So only reason why I touched upon them today, because somebody may ask, then why did you touch upon those books today? The reason why I touched upon them is because as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should know that such an aspect of our philosophy exists. There are many individuals who think that all classes should only be given for newcomers and just tell the basics and finish the class. So I will never agree to such a philosophy, because there are classes meant also for intermediate students. The classes should also be meant for some advanced students. But according to one's level of adhikar, one is supposed to accept some things and not accept certain things. So therefore, since the acharyas touch upon this topic while discussing Siksastakam, that is why I have touched upon this particular topic. But of course, privately, Guru may be able to tell their disciple which books they are supposed to read. So I hope that answer is satisfactory to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, and we really appreciate that. At least you have touched upon it. At least we got a drop of the nectar of cushion that we have in our scriptures here. Thank you so much. We're really grateful. Hare Krishna. And thank you for safeguarding us from all the pitfalls but we can fall into. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. We have another question from Bhakti Pravina Mataji. She says, Prabhu, how blessed we are to hear, to some moderate extent, Ashtayama Leela from you. You mentioned that it is very difficult for most to understand why Sri Rupa Manjari aims for Dasya Rati towards Sri Radha rather than Madhurya Rati towards Sri Krishna. Every day we chant the Mangalacharna verse, Śrī-Caitanya-Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Svapadantikam. And you also once composed a verse saying that Sri Rupa Goswami is sitting in Mahāprabhu's heart. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya 2037, it is also said, Prema Dana Vina Vyarta Daridra Jivana Dasa Kare Vetana Mori Deha Prema Dana. Without prema, my life is useless. Therefore, I pray that you accept me as your servant and give me the salary of prema. Can we pray like this to Sri Rupa Goswami or to those whom we see as embodiments of Sri Rupa Goswami in today's day and age? Or should such a prayer be directed only to Bhagavan Tattva Sri Krishna or Shakti Tattva Sri Radha?
I think prayers are best directed towards Sri Rupa Goswami because he is the one who can open the floodgates of, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart. So it is best to offer prayers unto Sri Rupa Goswami. It is best to privately offer prayers unto one's Diksha Guru, Shiksha Gurus, privately. But most importantly to Sri Rupa Goswami because he is the one who is the gateway to the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I think that is the best thing. I also offer my prayers to Sri Rupa Goswami, and in my heart I also pray to my Guru Janas, but openly in the classes I offer prayers to Sri Rupa Goswami because he is the gateway to enter into Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart. And this is what I can say at this particular point of time.
Here's another question from Bhakti Pravina Mataji. You indicated that we do not focus too much on the foodstuffs cooked by Sri Radha too much before we reach the stage of samadhi, like Sri Rupa Goswami. Recently, in the WhatsApp group chat, in the context of Swapriyanama, you recommended that we dovetail our material inclinations into our attraction towards Sri Krishna. In regard to your indication that we do not focus on certain things until we have reached samadhi, are there some material inclinations that we should not dovetail into our attraction towards Sri Krishna, such as our inclinations towards bhojana rasas or what we like to eat?
So, Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, can you like give us easier?
She's confused because on one hand we say that any emotion directed towards Krishna is ultimately purifying, just like Narada Muni says, kama dvesha bhayat snehat, right? If you direct any material emotion towards Krishna, it's ultimately purifying, and it can even lead to a eternal relationship with Krishna. On the other hand, you said that we shouldn't prematurely meditate on things such as what the food tastes like that Radharani cooks.
No.
What's the
I didn't. We can meditate on that, but it will only be theoretical. The actual experience of food is only in samadhi. It's not that we cannot meditate on that. We can meditate on that if we have been given the adhikar by Guru. But the best meditation on foodstuffs is in the stage of samadhi. And I gave the example of Sri Rupa Goswami, who tasted the sweet rice. So it's not that we cannot meditate. We can meditate. But the actual experience of foodstuffs is mainly in the stage of samadhi. That is what I had said.
Thank you very much. And so, here's one more question from Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my pranams. Thank you so much for the meditative session. Can you please explain more about two Durvasa Munis and how to know the difference in kata?
Yeah, so the Durvasa Muni mentioned in Gopal Tapani Upanishad, is a separate one from the Durvasa Muni mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Durvasa Muni mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam has tendencies of anger, whereas the Durvasa Muni here in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad doesn't seem to be demonstrating any of those tendencies. So they are two separate ones. They are two separate Munis. That's all that can be said in this regard. Nothing else. Only the one, the Durvasa Muni found in Gopal Tapani Upanishad is a separate one from the Durvasa Muni of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's all.
Thank you, thank you. And so I'm not seeing any more questions, but I'll give one last chance. All right. Thank you everyone so much for being here. It's really wonderful to have your association. And thank you so much again, Hari Parsha Prabhu, for such beautiful and exceptional classes. We're really, really grateful
Thank you.
for your association. And now I'd like to invite all the devotees to unmute and give a big thank you to Hari Parsha Prabhu.
Dāsa,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Can you say Hare Krishna?
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila
All right,
Prabhupada ki
everyone.
jai.
Thank you so much. I'm
Thank you
gonna
so
log
much,
off now.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hope to see you all next time.
Srila Prabhupada
Hare
ki jai.
Krishna.
Thank you.